Hi ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel Twist&Turn with Neville. Before we get to today's video, I would like to thank everyone who has given themselves time and opportunity to click and to like and to play the videos that I post on this channel. Thank you very much for everything that you've been doing. Your effort is not in vain. Thank you for everything that you've done for me and this channel so far. And on today's video, now we are getting to it.
Thank you. Now, Brigadier, if we can now deal with accused number 2.
Sorry, before you start, I'm sorry. You said neighbors. There was a neighbor you said, the evidence, they say that neighbor passed away. It's Mr.
Ngasha. Yes, yeah, the senior.
The senior. Was he a policeman or what?
He was a warrant officer, was a police officer, yes, and then he retired warrant officer, yes. He disposed an affidavit and also the same indication was given, my lord.
Yebo kunalo baba ke owashona ke uNcache owayeyiphoyisa ke noma owayeyi-warrant officer ke ngaphambilini naye une statement ayesenzile ke esho khona lokho.
And my lord, further one can say that in dissecting this, because at that stage it was almost like a fact-finding mission for me. Because you see with this matter, there are sort of two, you have obviously what is contained in the docket, but there seems to be this theory or assertion or allegations, if I can put it that way, that there were no intruders. One needed to dissect what was contained in the docket factually, not on allegations or theories, on hearsay, on the facts that were contained in the docket. And the facts contained in the docket, my lord, indicate what I've informed the court, that there were independent witnesses other than the people who were in the house who saw people running out of that house. No one could say that the people who ran out of the house were actually the same people who were in the house. They ran, a description is given by the neighbors who were outside. That description, particularly of one of the shooters with the dreadlocks, is also given by the people who were inside the house. So there you find a common factor that there was a person described with a firearm inside the house with dreadlocks. The neighbors, particularly the lady that was sitting outside, that recalled that saying she saw when they were running away that one of the suspects had dreadlocks. Now you have to take that objectively, my lord, not in terms of hearsay, objectively. In addition to that, my lord, I've said objective evidence, which is DNA, that was found at the crime scene, excluded everyone that was in the house. What it indicated is that DNA was left by someone else other than the person who were in the house, the persons who were inside the house. That DNA was obviously at a later stage, my lord, when these accused were actually now targeted. Their DNA were taken for comparison. I suppose when we get to that stage, I will deal with it, my lord, because as much as certain findings were made by the specialist, but they were pointers by the specialists to say there are common things that you can find on these people. And for me as an investigator, it was good enough that even if it's 1 or 2% of the DNA, for example, pointing accused number 3, it is enough for me to convince me that he was there as an investigator.
That is not his terrain. It is exclusively not his terrain. He's repeating the very same thing that I cautioned about. Mr. Kininda is not here as an expert, he's here as a police officer. He only needs to bring information to the court, the basis on which this court then will have to make a decision. He is not here to analyze that information as though he's the one that is going ultimately to give a judgment. He's pretty wrong, and the state is allowing to do that. I don't know if the state is doing that with a view in order to influence the mind of the court. But I'm very grateful because the court said earlier on that the court is well trained and it is experienced enough to separate the wheat from the chaff. What Mr. Kininda is doing now is only trying to influence the mind of the court with a hell lot of a chaff. What is stating now is a chaff. Is nonsensical. It should not be done, my lord. And I'm going to request the state to tell its witness to refrain from what the state's witness is doing, my lord. Because it's not here as an expert, and we're not interested in his opinion. His opinion matters not. Ultimately, it is going to be the duty of the state, on the basis of the evidence that Mr. Kininda would have submitted to this court to argue what he is now trying to argue. Otherwise, Mr. Baloyi needs to get into the box and Mr. Kininda coming to the point where Mr. Baloyi is standing. They need to swap positions. But what he's doing now is pretty nonsensical, my lord.
Okay, yes, let's hear this.
What you've just seen, just now, was Advocate Mnisi losing his cool because of what was going on in that courtroom. And if you bear in mind and you bear with me, you'll remember that there are so many things that have been going on throughout this trial. The defense attorneys having a clash with the state on this case. But now on this case, before we say anything about whatever is going on, there's an article that I want us to read, and I'm going to leave a link in the description and you'll check it out yourself. Let's look at this article, what it says. The title of the article says, Inside Senzo Meyiwa Murder Cover-Up, because that's what it is. This whole thing that we are busy entertaining day in, day out that is going on, it is a cover-up. Just the first paragraph of this article will blow your mind. I'm not going to say anything much about it. You'll just check it out. I'll leave a link in the description. It's quite a lengthy article, but if you give yourself enough time and read it, then you'll get the gist of what I'm talking about. It says here, Senzo Meyiwa was mistakenly shot, allegedly by one of the 7 people present at the house of his girlfriend, Kelly Khumalo. But witnesses claimed it was an imaginary robbery gone wrong in part of a cover-up which involved senior police officer Sunday Independent can reveal. So the statement, or rather the claims that we've been having from Senzo Meyiwa that Kininda stole a statement out of that docket eyavulo lapha eFosloras. It's even Nala on this article, it's being reiterated. So if you give yourself time and read this article, then you'll get to know what is going on throughout this trial, because ever since I was born, for me, it's the first time that I get to hear that there's a trial that, or rather there's a case that can have a Madokete too. That on its own is a red flag. But then, because now let's try and see what happens as we move forward with this thing. And if you were to ask me, this thing doesn't look good for the state, because it also exposes the NPA in terms of what they have done throughout this trial. NPA did mess up everything, because the NPA, it's those who are investigating this case, and those who went into the scene, the Abu Mosia and whatnot. Those people messed up everything. But then I'm not going to dwell much on that. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to close it right here and now, and see you on the next upload. And from me to you, I'm going to say peace till the next time. See you when I post again. Good night.